Hi, I'm Alvina Ling.
And I'm Grace Lin.
And we're book friends
Forever!
We're childhood friends
Who grew up to be
a children's book editor.
and an author and illustrator. Yay!
Welcome to Book Friends Forever. This is the Community Building with Debbi Michiko Florence episode.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and YouTube at bookfriendsforever_podcast.
So as you can once again tell from our episode title and from the video, if you're watching on YouTube, we have a special guest joining us. Hi, Debbi. It's Debbi Michiko Florence, author of the Jasmine Taguchi chapter book series and many more. And Grace and Debbi are together, which is nice. So Debbi, would you like to introduce yourself just a little bit more for our audience?
Sure. Again, I'm Debbi Michiko Florence. I'm the author of coming up on 30 books.
Wow.
Picture books, chapter book series, upper middle grade, and most recently a middle grade kind of a mystery series.
Ooh, wait, what's it called?
Called Last Chance Academy. Book 1 just came out. It's called A Study in Secrets. And book 2, The Mastermind's Trap, is coming out in March.
Exciting. Well, I want to hear all about your tour. So let's catch up with each other's lives. And Grace, why don't you start? How have you been?
All right, so Debbie and I have been on our very Asian book trip. So this is a trip that we're hoping to make annual. This is our third year where the two of us go on a road trip to all different bookstores, independent bookstores, and sign stock. And this year we are signing stock at 14 different bookstores.
Wow.
We are on day 3 today of our trip, and it's a blast. It's so much fun. I always have such a good time. This time though, I was just thinking I feel really tired this time, and I was trying to figure out why. Because even our first year and our second year, I didn't feel as tired, but I think it might be the weather because yesterday was such a hot day
Hmm.
and we had to walk around a lot. It was just really hot, so I think maybe that was it. But having a real blast. I'm showcasing my beautiful big
Ooh,
movie
it is beautiful.
star scarf, and I'm hoping that if I product placement enough in all of our photos, it'll get somebody interested. Oh, and also maybe one of the things that's making me a little tired this time is that we're also using the Very Asian Book Trip to promote the fundraiser for highlights, which actually ties into our topic for today, because Debbie and I run the Asian American Voices retreat and sponsor the Asian American Voices Collective Cabin at the Highlights Foundation. And we are trying to do a fundraiser to help continue the sponsorship and continue the scholarships for those two things. And so part of this trip is also asking for donations. And so it's a lot of like social media reels, like way more than we've done in the past.
Well, she says we, and I know why she's more tired is because she is doing all the reels and it's taking a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Today, I think you started at 7 and you're officially done at 11.
Wow.
I don't really, I mean, I'm not the fastest at doing these things. Also don't think I'm super slow, but I don't understand how people can do this all the time. There are people who are like on social media all the time. They throw out like a reel a day. My friend Jarek Krasoska, who does social media so well, and he's like always putting up a video, a reel, something. And all I can say is that's amazing. Like I think I can do it for these 5 days, and then I'm like, I'm tired. But
It probably
so
does get faster the more you do it, too, right?
it probably does, but it's still, I mean, yeah, it probably
Yeah.
does. I hope so. Maybe by the end of this, I'll be like, no problem.
Well, Debbi, since you're there, why don't we catch up with you too? How have you been?
I've been doing well. I love doing this very Asian book trip. It was funny because I confessed to Grace the first year we did this. I already knew I liked Grace, and um, from afar, before we knew each other, I was a huge fan of her and her books. And so when we were starting this very Asian book trip, what, 3 years ago,
Mhm.
I knew that we would have a nice time, but I was like, I don't know, it's a lot of time to spend with someone I don't know very well. I hope it's a fun time. And the first boba tea shop we went to, there were all these plush bobas, and I'm a huge plushie fan. And Grace goes, "Oh, we have to get some and name them, and they have to come with us." Like, yep, this is going to go great. And it has been.
Aw.
It's so nice because we're spending a lot of time together. We get to catch up. We have wonderful conversations, and then we get to go to bookstores and meet booksellers and readers and sign our books. And she does all the hard work of doing the reels.
Well,
So
I don't know. She does the hard work of driving, so
it's on a drive.
I would much rather do the reels.
Yeah. So I have to say it's been a lot of fun, and I so appreciate Grace's, I don't know, visionary thinking
hmm
for, I guess I'm going to call it for marketing or
Promotion.
promotion. And she's like thinks out of the box. I would have never thought of doing something like this. So
hmm
it's been a lot of fun.
And I think it's pretty successful. And I think it's a
I think
really,
so too, from
yeah.
afar.
Yeah, I think it's really successful. I mean, I feel like we go to places that may not have our books,
hmm
but are happy to have them once we're there. Or maybe they would only have one copy, but
hmm
now they have so many more for the holidays. And it's just getting our name and getting to know these bookstores that maybe we would never have
hmm
come across ever before. So I
Yeah.
think it's really fun.
Yeah.
And
So how
and my
many
friend
days total are you going to be on the
Bye.
road?
5 days, but the
Okay.
fifth day is just one
Yeah, because it's
store.
a long drive.
Yeah.
Mm.
We're hitting upstate New York.
New
Um,
York Mills, near
New
New
York Mill
Hartford, New
is
Hartford.
yeah, that's where
Yeah, that is
Grew
a
up.
far
you grew
drive.
up. So we're going to be hitting that. That's our last stop tomorrow. Then we have to drive from there all the way back down to Connecticut. And it's going to be a 4+ hour drive. So
Yeah.
yeah, one
Wow.
bookstore.
Yeah, one bookstore. But I do think that this is something that many authors could think about doing in terms of promotion. Like get some an author friend, and go on a really fun road trip and do this. But we were talking how some people have been wanting to do something similar. But I think a lot of people don't understand how much legwork there is ahead of time to do this. So if people are interested, make sure you do it the right way. Don't just show up at the bookstore and think they're going to have your books. I think that's the whole
Right.
thing.
Yeah,
There's a lot
that's
of
true.
legwork.
Yeah.
Anyway, how have you been? I know that you just ran a half marathon.
I
So tell us
did.
all about
Speaking of
that.
upstate New York, so this past weekend we drove up to, well, I took Friday off, which was a nice to just have a long weekend. And first, we decided to drive up and spend like the afternoon in Ithaca, New York, which I think I've been to before, but not as an adult, I guess. And it was like a really cute city, like a little college town. And then we went to Corning, which is where the half marathon was. So it's called the Wine Glass Marathon and Half Marathon. We did the half marathon. So, my friend Tracy Shaw, who I've mentioned before, she's art director at Little Brown, and her husband Kirk Benshoff, who is, I think, he's creative director at First Second. Um, Tracy had suggested that we do this a while ago. I had signed Stephen up for it as well, but he came, but he did not run. But
Yes,
he
that would
did
be me.
he did get the swag, though, which
So,
was very nice, actually.
did you get any Corningware? Is Corningware, right?
It is, although, so they sold the Corningware part of their business a while ago. So
Oh,
they still have a glass factory in Corning, but actually what the I guess the thing to do there is a beautiful museum of glass, Corning Museum of Glass. And that's actually where the Marathon Expo was. So we stayed at a hotel that was walking distance from the museum. So we walked over, got all the stuff at the expo, including like a wine tasting, and we got Wegmans was a sponsor, and they had a little wheel you could spin and win stuff. I won a snack.
Oh.
Yay.
Popcorn.
Waiting for snacks.
Tracy and Kirk's
What snack was
kids.
it?
I picked like this popcorn, but Tracy and Kirk's kids both won a water bottle,
Oh.
which
Oh.
later they realized was kind of crap. Like it didn't actually
Oh
work.
no.
Steven won a like a beer cozy or a cozy. Anyway, it was just a little
I think
random.
the snack
Yeah,
actually
I think
seems
that would
like
have
a
I
been
good
the best one.
I agree. And it was delicious. Um, but then we went to the museum and it's beautiful. So we're walking around and it like the part that we walked around in was I would say more of like a modern art museum,
Mhm.
with glass art. We also saw a glass blowing demonstration that was really cool. And
Oh,
then it was lunchtime and the museum was so great that the kids did not want to leave. Which
oh,
I thought, oh, that's really impressive. And it was so cool that they actually went back again the next day while we were running the museum. The kids went back on their own and they
wow.
wow, that is a good museum.
Yeah.
yes, and they said like, "Oh, we only touched the surface." And I guess we missed kind of the historical part, which I think would be really cool. So I
Yeah.
actually want to go back and I would go back. But it was kind of, it was a like 4+ hour drive. Um, and it was a beautiful drive though. Although I wish that the leaves had been a little more. I don't know if you were noticing that too. Like I
Oh,
think they're
It's been
not
beautiful for us.
yeah.
okay. For
We
for
were
us it was
towards
yeah.
Vermont.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's I'm sure they've
Yeah.
changed. Like we had seen online that it was supposedly 50% changed, but it wasn't. It was more like
Oh, wow.
20% maybe. So
Wow.
it was pretty, but it wasn't like leaf peeping. And then the half marathon was on Sunday. Oh, what was fun is maybe about a month ago, my friend Amy Lynn was in town and we had lunch. And Amy Lynn I think she's done close to 50 marathons, and her goal is to do a marathon in every state. And she's also done some international ones. So I asked her, when's your next marathon? And she said, oh, I'm doing the Corning Marathon. And I said, what? We're doing the half marathon. So we ended up meeting up with her and two of her
Oh,
running
fun.
club people for dinner on Saturday night.
Nice. Huh.
Oh,
So yeah, so we ran the half marathon on Sunday. It was cold in the morning, which is great though. It was great running weather because it got kind of warm later, but it was very sunny and it was a beautiful route. It was very part of why we wanted to do it is we had heard it was a beautiful route, but also that it was very flat. So
oh,
there were
that's
maybe
nice.
two really small hills. So it was really great, which is good because I would say the three of us, Kirk hadn't really been training. He had broken his ankle last year, and so he
Oh,
was kind
no.
of slow getting back, and so he hadn't really trained much. He did one 8 mile run, and then Tracy like was feeling a little bit under the weather, and I had been sick like 2 weeks ago, so that kind of was a gap. So none of us were at our peak, but we ran the whole thing together, and it was really great.
Oh,
So
that'd
I
be
really
nice.
enjoyed that. Yeah, and then we got back. And then Monday was the Mid-Autumn Festival, and I actually coincidentally had plans with some friends, so we decided to have dinner in Chinatown to celebrate. So that
Nice.
was fun. And then Grace, your mooncakes arrived, and
Yay, arrived just in
I
time.
know they were delayed. They were supposed to arrive Friday, and then they didn't. And I got a notice that they were delayed, and they were going to arrive on Tuesday, which I'm like, okay, that's a day late. But then they ended up arriving on Monday, so
Oh,
that was
good.
nice.
Ew.
Yeah, it was great. So we had some of that, and then I brought some into the office and shared with the group. So
Yay.
yeah, so yes, that's me.
Yay.
Anyway, so we are here to talk about community. Because so Grace said, "Oh, Debbie's really excellent at community building.
Yeah.
So let's
I,
talk about this topic." So Debbie, tell me more. Why are you so great at community building?
I don't know that I'm great at it.
it's the thing is that community was your word for the year, right? So
Yes.
maybe we should talk first, like why is community so important? Like why did you choose it as the word of the year? Why
Hmm.
is it so important to you, Debbie? Like
Yeah.
honestly, community, I have only just in the last 5 years realized that it's something kind of important. I
Hmm.
never really put that much
Yeah.
didn't put as much value on it as I think I should. But why do you both think community is so important? Why do you start, Alvina?
I think, well, in part because as we all know, the world is a trash fire right now. And I do think that is a time when community is more important than ever to just really feel connected. to people and also to feel connected to like-minded people and feel like just to feel a part of something. And so I think for me, also as I get older, I think my our natural communities start to dwindle a little bit. So I feel like as I've gotten older, I've had to make more of an effort. So that was, and I feel like I hadn't been making as much of an effort in maybe the past. I think basically since the pandemic, I think that is what kind of made some of the communities I feel like I had been a part of crumble a little bit. So I felt like, I wanted to kind of renew my commitment and community. And I think, when we had our mid-year check-in, I kind of felt like I hadn't been doing as much, but I actually feel like since then I've been kind of upping my efforts, and I've felt like I've gotten some of the fruits of that labor. So I actually feel good about that being my word of the year. So
Nice.
yes. How about you, Debbie?
Nice. Well, I think it was you, Grace, that was saying like, oh, you're so good at building community. And I'm like, am I? What do I do? And as we were talking, I think it all started out, and I was thinking about it just now. Why is community so important to me? And I remembered that I've been married to Bob for 28 years now.
Wow.
And for most of our first, a little over half our marriage, he was in the corporate life where we moved every 2 to 3 years. So I
Oh.
had to start all over every 2 to 3 years. And it was hard as an adult to make new friends and find a community. But what I did find as because I wanted to be a writer, and at the time I was part of SCBWI, but that was a way for me to meet people and connect with people. But of course, then I moved. I don't know if you all remember LiveJournal back in the
Mm-hmm. Oh
day.
yeah.
It was a blogging platform that was pre-Facebook. And I had gone onto it just thinking, just gonna like talk out loud. And then discovered there was a whole children's literature community. And we just started talking to each other, not really understanding this was public and anyone and everyone could see it. And we just built this community, and bit by bit then I started meeting people, and even after I moved, because it was online, I got to keep that community. And for me, particularly as a new writer who didn't know anything and was trying to learn about the business, being with people who were at both a similar level as me and above, aspirational, published, doing really well. And I felt like that was really helpful for me to understand, I can have hope, but it's, I have to work hard. And so that continued on. And then it wasn't until I went to the Quelly's Color of Children's Literature Conference that I had gone to this conference, and all of a sudden it was all BIPOC. And I didn't have to explain myself. I didn't have to say why I felt a certain way about being Asian. Just it was understood. And all of a sudden, like, oh my goodness, I want this where I can be with people and not have to constantly educate or explain why I'm the way I am or why my family's the way they are. And I think that was the first time I thought, wouldn't it be great to have an Asian American or AAPI community of writers or kid lit people to do something like that? And that's also when I was involved with highlights, teaching workshops. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to have something here? And that's when Grace and I started building the Asian American Voices retreat.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I so that's I think the Asian American Voices retreat has been like really, really great. So the community has not been important to me in at least in the early part of my writing career for many different reasons. I've talked about it all the time. Um, it's only been maybe more than 5 years, more like the last 10 years where I realized like, oh, this is really something that I'm missing and that actually I really need. But my problem is that like, I'm like, I don't know how to do this. And so that's why, and I'm so socially awkward, right?
You are not.
And so I'm so grateful that like Debbie approached me and be like, let's start this thing. I'm like, okay. And so I kind of feel like I always tag Debbie's like social lubricant. And I'm like, hey. I actually kind of feel like that with you too, Alvina. Whenever we go to like conferences, like Alvina will be my social lubricant. Actually, that sounds gross. I think about it.
But Grace, I think, and I think when you gave your speech as the Legacy Award winner, I think it became clear to you and to other people too that
Yeah.
you do have a lot of community and you have a lot of groups.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I
So
think
so we're all good at it.
Yes.
it
Yes, I think, and that's part of community. You couldn't do it by yourself. I couldn't do it by myself. Avina can't do it by herself. We need our community
Hmm.
in order to build it bigger.
Yeah. Though I think for me, I never really kind of specifically thought about building community until the pandemic,
Hmm.
right? And then the pandemic happened, and then I was like, oh, there's no one. Okay, maybe I'll start this online Zoom group, and I'll start this one. I'll start this one. And what was kind of a gift of the pandemic was like you could start it, and everybody, it didn't feel weird, like
Yeah.
to ask people to do it. They were like, okay, let's do it,
Right.
let's do it.
Because everyone was like, oh, we're stuck at home and we have nothing to
Yeah,
do.
so
So,
it felt fine, and I've talked about how now that the pandemic is over, like that all these like groups are like falling apart, and so it's been really interesting to figure out like how to either sustain them, how to build them, or how to make new ones. So,
mhm.
um, Debbie, what are the best ways you've found to build and sustain community?
And we were talking a little bit
Yeah.
about this in the car. Um, for me, the building community means putting yourself out there, right? I think most of us in the writing community, not all of us, are introverts. And if you invite me to a party, I'm going to be like, I'm busy. What day is it? I'm busy. Um, I feel more comfortable in like one-on-one situations or small group situations. I feel very awkward in like larger group situations, but that is where you meet people and that is where you find your community. And we were also talking about how I can often tell almost right away if I'm going to either connect with somebody, become good friends with somebody, or become like best friends with somebody. And within
Hmm.
the first like 15 minutes or so, I can feel it, whether or not it's going to be like, this is going to be a really important relationship, or we will be colleagues.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, Alvina, do you have that when you first meet people? Do you have like a sense of like this is going to be a real friend or not?
Not, no, no, not necessarily. I mean, I do feel like, I guess like dating, like I think you can get us, I can tell when it's not gonna work. But I don't know if I can tell the difference between like great friend versus friendly acquaintance, Um, I
Because
because sometimes I do feel like you can get surprised by people. And
I
Yes.
feel like I don't have a good judge of that at all. I think because I won't name names, but there's this person that I thought that was around with there was this person I was like, oh, maybe we'll be friends. And then my other friends were like, no, 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 no. And I was like, why? What's wrong with them? And they're like, what's wrong with this person? And they're like, no, don't be friends with them. Can't you tell they're so self-centered, they're so that. And I'm like, no, I can't tell that at all. So like I actually don't I'm not very good at that. Though I can tell if it's really, really wrong. It's like got to be like extra. Like sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's
But
really
also
bad.
like, not everyone is the same with everyone else. So like
Yeah.
just because your friends didn't like this person doesn't mean that you couldn't have clicked with them,
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then also I think people can act different in different situations. So, I wouldn't judge people too much by the first meeting. Again, if it's like a disaster, you can tell. Like kind of with dating, I do feel like there are certain people that I knew, like, okay, I'm not going on a second date. But there are a bunch of people that I thought, oh, I'm going to give this person another chance and then
Yeah,
decide.
that's interesting. Well, I want to get back to the whole, I realized, oh, I kind of went off on this, and I only want to be best friends with this person. But that's what I was kind of saying about community, like putting
Hmm.
yourself out there, meeting different people, and knowing like just because you're not going to be that person's going to be my best friend or that person, we have some things in common, but we're a little different. But
Hmm.
that's how you build community. So once you have this big community, that allows, I think what I like to do is matchmake.
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah.
Right?
Oh,
I
that's
love
nice.
to build a community and watch. One of the things I've loved about our Asian American Voices retreat is watching people connect. And different people connect for different reasons. They need different things from their community, and being able to provide this opportunity for people to come together and find people with, some similarities and then get to know each other and then really connecting. They walk off and now they have a new critique group or now they have a new BFF or whatever it is. That brings me so much joy. So in that sense, when I'm meeting people, I'm also thinking like, oh, this person, maybe we're not connecting, but ooh, they want to be a picture book author. So, oh, I know somebody else is looking for another, a picture book pal, and maybe I can introduce them. So for me, I think I like matchmaking.
No, I think that's true.
Yeah, that's fun.
And I think there's a difference between becoming really good friends with something and community. You can have lots of different levels of
Hmm.
friends, and it's still a community. So,
Right.
like,
Right,
Right.
like
You
a
don't have to
group
be
friend.
best friends with everybody.
yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, so
Yeah.
it's interesting when we were running the half marathon at one point, Tracy said, I wish I could remember when we first met, like the moment we first met. And I couldn't remember that either. We worked together. And so I said, I can probably recreate probably how it went. And I said, you were probably in the design area and I came by and maybe Sheila Smallwood, who used to be our creative director, like maybe Sheila or someone else in the design team introduced us. And I probably said, oh, Tracy, you went to RISD. You knew Grace Lin. I think we almost became roommates. And then Tracy said, yeah, I think that probably was what it was. But the thing is, we didn't become friends immediately. So, I think she was just a coworker. We had some mutual friends who were all coworkers. But I said, I do remember when we actually became friends was I gave you a ride to a mutual friends party. And that's when we talked really at length one on one for the first time. And then when we moved to New York, we got really close. And now she's one of my best friends. And I think part of it is proximity too.
Yeah.
We live in Brooklyn, we live close to each other, and that makes a big difference too. But I think it's just interesting that yeah, someone who maybe was just a friendly acquaintance or just a friendly coworker can become, you know, yeah, really really
And
close
I
friend.
think it's interesting what you said about like spending time. It's kind of like you have to invest
Hmm.
in other people to build the community. And I think that's something that
Yeah.
in the past has been really hard for me to like, okay, you have to invest, like especially because sometimes you don't know if that investment is going to be worth it, right?
Right. No, that's
Um,
true.
and,
Yeah.
and that's why you were saying you just have to put yourself out there. And I think that's what I was saying. I think you're so good at being willing to put yourself out there. You're so willing to invest even if you don't know if it's going to pay off. And I think that's really
Yeah.
a really good,
Yeah. And I think
admirable
I think
trait
that's I'm
to
good at
do.
that too, is putting myself out there in terms of reaching out. Like if we have a party, I'll invite some people that I don't know that well, and I think that they appreciate it. And if I invite them like 5 times and they never come or never respond, then I might drop them from the invite list. But if they reach out and say, "Oh my gosh, thanks so much for the invite. I can't make it, but please keep inviting." Like you can kind of tell if they are
Yeah.
open to that kind of friendship. Yeah. And I also feel like, so you talked about going to parties and how introverts, their immediate reaction is, I don't want to go. But if you know like one person and you're like, okay, let's go together, that makes it more comfortable. But if you know, like, I know that there are going to be 5 people that I know there, that will make you even more comfortable. So it
Yes.
is kind of baby steps. I
And
mean, it
we would
was,
say the proximity thing or having talking to people like my very best friend, we both lived in California. She still lives in California, and then I moved to Connecticut. And we make an effort. We have talked, I've now lived here for 13 years. We talk once a week, every week. We
wow.
sometimes miss a week, or one of us will be sick or traveling, but for 13 years we have talked every week, and I think that makes a difference. If you only talk once in a while, you start losing that the day to day. You can't really talk about the minutia or whatever. And I
Yeah.
think that helps keep you close. So proximity, not only in the physical sense, but also making the effort to take time to have conversations.
Yeah, I think that's why this podcast is actually really
Yeah, I
important to
was
me
thinking
watching
the
it.
same thing.
Because that's like, because that's what keeps us in contact all the time.
Hmm.
And I think like, that's why when we talk about like, should we make the podcast bigger? Should we? I'm like, I don't really care.
Sounds
Right.
good. I can talk.
We can keep this going. Like, I'm fine
Yes.
with it just the way it is. Like,
We're catching up with each other's lives.
yeah.
Love it.
And
It's
that's good
so
enough.
great.
Yeah.
So, but there are pitfalls. And this is what I want to talk to you about. What are the pitfalls of building community, other than putting yourself out there, investing in in the disappointment of it not paying off and feeling like I wasted my time.
Well, I was telling Grace a story in the car about I have a hard time. Um, I don't know. I don't want to say I have a hard time saying no because that's not true. But I don't want to make people feel bad or awkward. So sometimes people might put me in a position that is not great for me,
Hmm.
and I can't get myself out of it. And the story is a long time ago, somebody I didn't know very well, we went out and did something. Then she kind of invited herself into my house and would not leave.
What?
I didn't know how to say. She's My daughter comes down. She goes, "Mommy, I'm hungry for dinner." I said, "Oh, I got to make my daughter dinner." And she's like, "Oh, great. What are we having?" And I'm like, "Oh, did you want to stay?" And it just kept going on until finally at 2 o'clock in the morning, I couldn't. I was just so tired. I'm like, I have to go to bed.
And then
But
she's
what's
like, "Oh,
funny,
great. I'll
Grace?
come with you." Just kidding.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And so I think today I would be different. That was me like a
Yeah.
very long time ago. I'm older now. I think I'm better at putting limits. But that is one
Boundaries.
of the pitfalls, I think, for me is that I am a people pleaser.
Hmm.
And so I don't want to make people feel bad. And I want people to feel included. And sometimes, without sounding too like it's all about me, sometimes I don't know how to protect my time
Hmm.
that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for the Asian American Voices community that we're trying to build at highlights, I have found certain pitfalls. It's hard because you realize you can't please everyone. Like we're trying to build
Right.
this community, and then you realize, oh, there's just some things we like. For example, it's at one point it was PI.
PI.
Yeah, and so it was like Pacific Islanders, and the Pacific Islanders felt like we weren't doing enough um to include them, I would think, and then the South Asians. And we tried, but it's realizing like we have our own limits too. Like we don't know how to include them better. Like we do what we can. But the truth is that uh even though we still welcome them, don't get me wrong, we also understand that maybe they don't they want a different community. I mean, I guess
Right.
that's what is understanding that our community might not be the one they're looking for.
Hmm.
And that's always been a pitfall because our first reaction is like, okay, what can we do to pretzel ourselves to be the community that they want? But then you have all these other people who the community is already the way they want, so it's like it's very I found this with Kidlit Women too when I was doing that a while ago too. And it's just like you have to understand that community is that some people it's not the it's hard because you never want to be exclusionary, right? But you have to understand that this is not the community for everybody, and that's really hard. And it's kind of a shortcoming of humans, right? At least
Hmm.
that's at least what I've come to
Yeah,
accept.
or a shortcoming of communities because
Yeah.
there is a limitation, like you say. So that's the whole going back to what I always say, we are not a monolith, and the same thing for communities, even though it might be labeled one thing, it might feel like a safest place for a certain group of people. And then that's the reason why we need opportunities to build a lot of communities.
Yeah.
Other people should feel comfortable building
Yeah.
communities that they're looking for.
Yeah, I think that's what's so hard. It's like it's kind of like with We Need Diverse Books a long time ago. If you can't find the book that you want, you have to go write it yourself. Like if
Hmm.
our community is not the one that you want, we then you'll have to go build it yourself, and that's really sometimes a bitter pill.
Right. Yeah, and it can be challenging. I think, yeah, I think a pitfall, I mean, I guess a pitfall or a challenge could also just be, not want, yes, not wanting to feel, people to feel left out or just feeling like, oh, you can't be all inclusive
Yeah.
or else it's just too big, I guess. So I
Yeah.
guess some communities are exclusive. Now I feel like we live in a gated community, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah, I think that's the pitfall, trying to figure out where that line is, right?
Hmm.
And I think we still are struggle with that every year, like
Hmm.
so
Well, and part of our thing, because it's at the Highlights Foundation, which we hope to remain indefinitely, the limitation is there's only a certain number of spaces for people to come. And so we have a wait list every year
Hmm.
of at least a whole nother retreat. We could have
Wow. Yeah.
and in fact, this might be a good opportunity, kind of like spoiler or whatever, a surprise that because next year is our fifth year of the Asian American Voices in Community Retreat, we'd love to get everybody off the wait list. We are having two next year in
Wow.
the hopes that, because one of the attendees last year said, "Oh, this I've been trying for 3 years to get in, and I finally got in," and that hurts my heart because I
Yeah.
want people who want to be there to get to be there and not have to be on this wait list.
but
So
yet you still want the people who've been there before to
to
still
also be able
come
to come back,
because that's how
yes,
you build it.
right.
Like
Yeah.
want to have the same people too. I mean, do you run into that with Kindling Words?
Yes, definitely. I'm not involved with the wait list or the lottery or the application process at all, but I know that it's, we do have a long wait list. And then, so now I think it's an application process. So I think they really are looking to have the right balance of new attendees and returning attendees. So I think that's something they take into account, because it's not good to have only returning, and it's also not good to have only new people.
Yeah,
Right.
So yeah,
that's what's rough. Yeah.
It's a
yeah,
balance. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
So.
But it is a great community. I mean, that is one of the communities that I love. Debbie, are you going? I heard you're interested in going, but I don't know.
Yes, except it never works out.
Yeah.
This time I'll be actually I'm doing school visit in India
Oh,
during
wow.
Healing Words, so I can't
Wow.
obviously be in both places at the same time. One of these years I will make it there.
Yes, I hope you make it. Yeah,
I would like
it's
to.
moved this year to not Providence. So it was in Providence the last 2 years, and then we lost the hotel. I guess the hotel got sold. So
Oh,
we're moving to, oh gosh, Plymouth,
huh.
south of
Wait, are you
Boston.
going to go back to Providence?
I mean, I think that hotel is gone. So I mean,
Oh,
I
it's gone.
think
Yeah.
so I think what happened was the owners of the hotel though wanted to still honor the contract, and so I think this is another hotel that they owned or something like
Mhm.
that. So that's why we're
Oh,
there, but I don't know if we're gonna stay. So I think we're gonna see how it goes,
Because
and if
Providence is a good location.
it is a good location. Yes, we
kind of in
couldn't
the middle of
find.
everything, yeah.
Yeah, so we might go back. I mean, I thought it was great because you could take the train, and
Oh,
there's an
that's the
airport.
thing.
Because
Yes.
Just in the winter when I don't drive.
all right, well,
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
have a car, so
it's a great location for people in New York City. It's a great,
hmm
so like I
and
think that's
Boston, and
and
yeah,
in DC.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was great. I think people did like it, so maybe we'll try to go back.
Nice.
Yeah.
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 All right. Anything else you want to say about community?
Was there anything? Oh, should we talk? I already mentioned the fundraiser, so no, I think that's it. I was
Yay for community.
unless we want to talk, I guess maybe we should end on a high note. Like, what are your hopes for uh community? What is your hopes for Kindling Words and your other communities,
Hmm.
Alvina?
I mean, I just want to just spread. I mean, I've always said my purpose is I want to spread love and acceptance in every community I'm in. So I think that that's my goal is I want everyone to feel included and have the possibility of for love.
Oh, that's really nice.
What's your hope?
I was thinking about, I've been talking about the Asian American Voices community, which is very important to me. But I feel very fortunate that here in Connecticut, I have a very nice kidlit community of other people who are dear to me, who are friends, and we get together, or we go have a writing session, or we go out to lunch. So that's been important to me. So, and I have another community of friends I've known for like 20 years and that we still stay in touch. For me, so I guess what I would like to put out there for community is being able to sustain all these different communities because in each of their ways, they're very important and meaningful to me.
Hmm. How about you,
Yeah.
Grace?
Um, Gosh, what do I hope? I mean, I think for me, the reason why I've been thinking about community so often is because I mean, because of all my childhood things, I think I've always been, and even my books, you can see, I'm always been looking for a place to belong to, right?
Hmm.
And so I think for me, I've been trying to build communities because I feel like, oh, community is a place where you build, where you can belong to. And
Hmm.
so I'm hoping for that for me in communities, and I'm hoping that for other people too. Like if we build communities, then maybe everybody can find a place to belong to. And if that's, I think the world would be a much better place if everybody feels like they belong somewhere.
Yes, that would
I
solve a lot of problems, I think so.
Yes, I agree. Well, maybe that ties into our fortune cookie segment, which
Yay!
is to share what our mid-autumn festival wishes are. But Grace, do you maybe talk a little bit about
Yes.
mid-autumn festival?
Okay, so I did not know this, but I guess the Japanese do not celebrate the Moon Festival. They have a moon viewing tradition, but it's not on a special day. So, but in Chinese culture, there's the Moon Festival, Korean culture, Vietnamese culture, and I bet you Filipino. But in many other Asian cultures, there's the Moon Festival, which I've talked about many times. And in Chinese culture, on the night of the Moon Festival, you look up at the moon and you see all those dark shapes on the moon, and hopefully you see the shape of a rabbit. And in Chinese culture, that rabbit is called the jade rabbit. And the jade rabbit is the moon lady's companion. And they say if you see that rabbit, you can make a wish on the moon. The rabbit will take your wish, bring it to the moon lady, and if he thinks it's good enough, he'll bring it to the moon lady, and she will make your wish come true. So there's a filtering process. Like he's like, no good. It's gonna
You
be a
have to
good
make
wish.
it, you have to make it good.
So, so I'm not sure what the what the Jade Rabbit's values are, but I guess the idea is like you have to think of what a good wish is. Um, so every year at the Moon Festival, I always have everybody who comes write their wishes on pieces of paper and they hang them. And this year, Hazel had a lot of friends come, and one wish said, "I wish all the annoying boys in my class would just shut up."
Oh
And I was
no.
like, the Moon Rabbit's gonna like that one. And then another one, obviously with a dark humor, was like, "I wish that they never find the bodies."
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And
That's
I
funny. That's a start to a YA mystery thriller.
yeah. And so, so I thought we could tell about our wishes. So, I have two wishes that I'm willing to share. The good thing about Moon Festival wishes that is like it's not like just one wish like your birthday, like make a wish. It's like make as many wishes as you want, which I think is much fairer because then maybe one of them, the moon rabbit feels is
Yes.
worthy.
Is
Um, so I'm going to share two. This one is the less selfish one, and I really wish that the world that Hazel grows up in is one where she will be safe. And I think it's just
Mhm.
that's what I really wish deep down, and not just Hazel, but I mean,
Right.
especially Hazel, 'cause she's my
Every
daughter, but
every child.
but where kids feel safe, where people
Hmm.
are safe. So I wish that, and then that's my less selfish wish, and then my more selfish wish, and only because I'm with Debbie and we do these. every year we throw our wish into the fire, just like at Kindling Words.
Hmm.
And the one I have thrown in every year, and it has never come true,
Yes. Yeah.
is I wish that one of my books would sell as well as Dragons Love Tacos.
That's a good wish.
It's a good wish.
Okay, Alvina, what's your wish or wishes?
I mean, I don't have this tradition of making wishes at mid-autumn. So, I feel like I'm just gonna say what my wishes are every time I see 1111. And I think I've talked about this before, but every time I see 1111, I do wish, and they're both they're not selfish wishes. I am wishing always for world peace, which is I think important, and especially now it just feels like I wish we could have world peace. And then I wish for universal health care in the United States. And I always say within 5 years, but I've been wishing this for more than 5 years, so it just hasn't happened. Um, and then, but I guess related to community. I mean, I do think I listened to a podcast interview where Adam Grant, I think someone asked him like, "What would your if you could have one wish, what would it be?" And he said he wished that dehumanization ended in the world, and he
Oh,
felt like that would end a lot of the problems that we have. And so I do feel like I
that
guess
is true.
that is my wish. Sorry, I'll think of a selfish wish though too.
Yeah, come up with a selfish one because now I
but
feel bad.
but Debbie
It's like,
go first.
hmm.
I know it's hard to follow those, but yes. Okay, I wish that I could eat anything I wanted and not gain weight. How about that? I don't know.
Everybody's wish.
Well, it's like menopause. Sorry, like just that menopause tire, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Debbie, what are your wishes?
Yeah. Well, I do want to say, as much as my not knowing about any traditional moon festival festivities in my family, we do the rabbit in the moon, and I have a tattoo of a rabbit in the moon. It's my rabbit, though. And I love looking at the moon and seeing the rabbit. And in terms of wishes, because this is banned
Hmm.
book week. And book week. My wish is that all the teachers and librarians out there could get back to the thing that
Hmm.
they really first got into their jobs doing is to educating young people and sharing the books. And I wish for them not to have to fight all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's a
be
great wish.
scared.
Yeah, and be scared. So yeah,
That's a good
that's my
wish.
big wish.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And the more personal wish, I'm not going to call it selfish. I'm going to say personal wish. My
Yes.
personal wish is that um, to be able to write and get published all the books of my heart,
Hmm.
no matter what genre or audience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good
those are
wish.
great ones. All right. Our listeners should tell us what their wishes are
Yeah.
Yes,
for anything,
yes,
selfish or unselfish.
yes.
All right. So now we'll end with what we're grateful for. Debbie, why don't you start? What are you grateful for?
Well, many things, but I'm grateful for the fact that I've been able to write and publish books across genres and audiences. I'm very grateful for that. And I'm also grateful for the two of you and the Kidlit community.
Yay.
Yeah.
Grace, how about you?
Yeah, well, I'm really grateful that Debbie, that you're willing to do this very Asian book trip with me, and that we've had such a blast doing it for the last 3 years. And I'm grateful that it seems like you're willing to do it again in the future. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to build community with you, build community with everybody. So I'm really grateful for
With
all
our
of that.
listeners, too.
Yes, I
Yes.
mean we
Yes.
kind of have it's unseen, it's an invisible
Hmm.
book friends forever community as well. I
It
mean,
is. And
and
it
it's kind of
becomes
interesting.
visible when we go to conferences.
Yeah,
And
that's what I mean. Like they'll
yeah,
come up and be like, "Hey, listen to your podcast," and it's like uh, a a community that we don't even really know, but it's there. So that's lovely.
that is lovely.
How about you, Alvina?
Well, since this just happened, I'm gonna say I'm grateful that Little Brown has so many books on the bestseller list this
Oh,
week.
Yay!
Okay,
What's on
Kate McKinnon's second book, Millicent Quibb, Secrets of the Purple Pearl, is number two, and it debuted at number two on the middle grade list. And while we were on the phone giving her this news, all of a sudden I realized that book one was also on the list at number eight.
Oh,
So she
Wow.
has two slots. Um,
Awesome.
we published a young readers edition of How the World is Past by Clint Smith, and that is also on the bestseller list, the middle grade list at number six. So we have
Oh, wow.
three
Wow.
slots on the middle grade list, which is really great.
Congratulations.
And
Yay.
then Rakaya Dawood, one of her books that she edited, it's called Bitten by Jordan Stephanie Gray, and that was number two on the YA list.
Oh,
And
wow.
I think that's Rakaya's second New York Times bestseller. So she's killing it. She's doing
Congratulations.
great.
Yay.
Yay. And then Hecate the Witch by Nikita Gill, which had debuted at number one 3 weeks ago, is still on the list at number seven. So that's doing really well.
It's YA as well.
That's YA, yep. And that Margaret Ramo is the editor for that one. And then, so this is the 20th anniversary for Twilight.
Wow.
And so
I'm
actually,
so old.
Megan Tingley did a little presentation to kind of talk about the acquisitions story. It's a new segment. I think I've talked about it before called Behind the Book. So she did Twilight, which was really fun. And we had a little like party. But so we had released these really special anniversary, like deluxe anniversary editions of Twilight. And that propelled it to be number one on the series list this week. So that's
Oh
number
my
one.
Wow.
I know.
Yay. That's a hard
Yes.
list too. The series list is rough.
I
So
know.
wow.
Although Twilight has, oh gosh, how many
I mean,
books
of
are
course
in
it's
it?
been on there a million
Yeah.
years, but for it to hit 20 years, I think is really
Yeah, no, it's
later.
really
That's
exciting.
amazing.
Yeah.
And then Belladonna by Adeline Grace. We published a new novella in that series, so that is on the series list at number eight. So
Ooh, yeah.
lots of bestsellers. We also, I should mention that Rakaya's book, that was her first number one New York Times bestseller last year. The paperback is on the YA paperback list.
Oh, nice.
At number
Wow.
four, Immortal Dark by T. Guest
Oh, yes.
Burma. So
Awesome.
anyway, so we're doing great, and I'm really grateful for that.
That's
I'm
awesome.
really grateful for that too.
All right. And that was the Community Building with Debbi Michiko Florence episode. Thanks for joining us. And thanks to Alex at Paceyworks Studio for editing this podcast. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and tell a friend about it.
And tag us on social media using the hashtag BookFriendsForever, or send us a message via Instagram at BookFriendsForever_podcast, or via our website, booksfriendsforever.com. And please join our Patreon. Someday
Yes.
we'll do something with it. The link is in the show notes.
I'm Alvina Ling, and you can find me at Planet Alvina on TikTok and at Alvina Ling on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. Debbie, where can people find you?
Probably the best place is Instagram, Debbi, Debbi _Michiko _Florence. And I also have a website, DebbiMichikoFlorence.com.
And I'm Grace Lin, and you can find me at Pacey Lin on Instagram and Threads, and author Grace Lin on Facebook.
Have a great week.
Like,
oh, it's my line.
I wasn't gonna say TikTok because
I know.
I forgot I haven't been posting on there at all, and I was just thinking I really should. But anyway, don't forget to read.
Bye. Thanks, Debbie, for joining us.
Bye.
Have a great rest of your tour.
Thank you.